It'd be fair to say Arsenal's lack of end product or lack of goals, simply put, is killing our football club. And a big source as to why we're unable to pick up some points currently following our two draws against Everton. The hardest thing to do in football is put the ball in the back of the net. Ultimately, goals win games. It's not enough to approach football games like boxing matches and win it on points in terms of possession and field tilt and XG and all of that stuff that people use to console themselves with. Again, that can tell us that the underlying metrics are concerning. That could actually tell us that the underlying metrics are quite positive, but something is missing, simply put, in terms of putting the ball for Arsenal in the back of the net. Now, some of these things are off the back of the transfer window, as we knew, but at this point, I'm tired of saying the same thing. So let's go over what is currently in the news for Arsenal. Bearing in mind, people, as usual, new week, new blessings. Hope you're all doing well and safe. It's the last month of 2025, so make it count, people. And obviously, we could be disappointed about the Fulham and Everton game. For me, that's actually, it goes beyond the obvious with Everton, not necessarily the club. It's the same old issues in another game. But at the end of the day, we've got to get our acts together. At the weekend, we've got an evening fixture at Crystal Palace. Before that, it's actually a doubleheader against Crystal Palace. On Wednesday, we've got League Cup action in the quarterfinals against them. So we can't feel sorry for ourselves. After the game, Mikel Arteta said, I feel very disappointed not to win the game. There was only one team who deserves to win the game, and that was Arsenal. But we didn't. We gave nothing away, didn't concede any shots. We dominated play. We didn't allow them to run. We generated chances, but in the last 20 meters, we were missing a goal. And when you do what we've done against them, you have to win the game. That's the only thing of relevance to me. You have to win the game because this has become a regular theme. You could say this about West Ham last season at the Emirates. You could say this about the Fulham game. You have to win it. And the 20 meters that he refers to is what our issues have been. And on one hand, the players need to get their acts together. But on the other hand, a lot of the issues I feel are self-inflicted. We know we need an 8. We know we need a bigger squad. We know we need to address from a tactical point of view that left-hand side, which since the 2022 apologies, 23 season has been non-existent. We know we're carrying players. We know Bukayo Saka is the only one you can kind of bet on across the course of the season to do it. It's square pegs in round holes. A lot of this is self-inflicted. I actually was quite fond of Granit Xhaka at Arsenal Football Club. With the greatest of respect to Xhaka, it's not like we're replacing Cesc Fabregas or Xavi or Iniesta. We still have not, addressed that left-hand side. So a lot of these issues are self-inflicted. And when you look at our attacking options, they need to get their acts together. But if everyone apart from Bukayo Saka is failing, and that's who we're trusted in a season of fine margins to win a league title, in which this week we've seen Liverpool drop points, Chelsea have obviously won, Manchester United have beaten Manchester City. So there's still nothing quite decided. On paper, we can still go for it, but I have to be quite pessimistic. As I was referring to, if all the players are struggling in attacking sense, how much is down to the manager? How much has to come on the manager? In the same way that whether players started or were, off the bench and they were all scoring and adding something, rightly so, Arteta would need to be praised, people. But I can't disagree. If you draw, you always want more, but I kind of ask much more from the boys apart from putting the ball in the back of the net. Individually, we can do things a bit better with a little bit more quality and deliver that magic moment when it's necessary. Yes, but that's not easy. It's not easy. So we needed to dip in the market, really and truly. Yes, there's been occasions where, rarely this season, where we've actually scored a lot of goals and been quite, happy with our attacking play. That hasn't been there. And I love the set pieces. That seems to be the only thing we've got on lock. The last 3 games, we did score against Fulham, but they marked us a bit better, I feel, in that. Monaco defo did, and Sean Dyche's Everton defo did as well. So when the set pieces aren't happening, we need to put the ball in the back of the net in open play, and we didn't do that. Naturally, a lot of Arsenal fans are unhappy. You've seen the antics on social media. I've seen some outlets, people, not even outlets, some outlets of Arsenal fans criticizing young Ethan Nwaneri. I mean, come on now, he's a young player learning the tricks and trades of his game. There's so many people we need to ask questions before we dare ask questions of the Highlanders. Shout out Lewis Skelly, because that's the one positive. He started in the Prem and the Champions League back to back this week. So yeah, people, and it's even a lot more baffling. Again, I'm not criticizing Everton. If Arsenal, regardless of their current form, are better than you in the final third, can cut you open, you're a team that's struggling, you're going to play like how Everton played. And, it's the obvious. You look down the right-hand side, you have a mid and low block, we'll huff and puff, we'll throw jabs, we'll work it down the left, we'll work it down the right. But we very rarely go for that killer blow, really, whether that's one great moment of creative team play, whether that's a player, I'm exaggerating, banging it from 30 yards. So for me, that's where the frustrations are at, because it's bigger than the Arsenal Everton game. They've been here before. They had 2 shots, none on target. We had 13-5 on target, 77% of the ball to their 23%, 682 passes to their 209, 8 corners to their 2. Last time I checked, both teams are sharing the spoils, people. As it says there, 682 passes versus Everton is actually the highest in the Premier League game this season. We still didn't find a way though. So maybe Mikel Arteta has to himself go back to the drawing board. And yeah, you can talk about field tilt, possession, XG, talk about we deserve to win the game because of these statistics. And you're not necessarily wrong. But last time I checked, that's not how football games are played, people. So yeah, and it does feel those that point towards possession and field tilts and kind of pretend to gloss over things. They always appear a bit snooty, like they know a bit more than every other Arsenal fan, really. But that's neither here nor there. Like Kai Havertz has said, we missed the details against Everton, people. He said, it's very frustrating. I think we controlled the game very well and didn't allow them any chances. We didn't manage to score. And of course, that's frustrating because we wanted to win the game. So ultimately, a lot of our issues is the lack of end product. And it feels like I'm talking about the same old things year in, year out. Like last year, it's another dodgy December, still playing Partey right back, still talking about the left-hand side, still talking about when the right-hand side doesn't do it, still talking about needing another striker or a winger. Well, let's have it right. We're carrying a lot of players, people. And Mikel Arteta's tactics, at this moment in time, he needs to find a solution. It's his job to find internal solutions. We knew Everton would be a tough team to break down. They're a tough team to break down. They're very solid in the box, just the little details in the box. We didn't manage to do them. We didn't find the final pass. Sometimes I think the position in the box wasn't perfect. So we have to look at that and make it better next game. So yeah, man, football ultimately is won and lost in both boxes. And isolated to the Everton game, we defended our box well, but we didn't penetrate the opponents. Firstly, I think we tried to look at ourselves, win games, get points. I think that's the most frustrating point today, that we didn't do that. We want to win games. We have to win that game today. We tried to be positive, stick together as a group and make it better next time. That's the only thing you can do. Is there any key things from Mikel Arteta? We've gone over that. He alluded to taking off Martin Odegaard and Declan Rice because, they were carrying knocks. And with Martin, it was a tactical decision. You could play devil's advocate and say, if you're taking off Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard when we're chasing a game, that tells you the issues we've got in itself. And for me, when I see Declan come off, that means the handbrake of the team's off. The fact that Mikel Arteta has used 5 subs, it's peak, people. Of course, we were aware of the Liverpool score, and if we're not, we will now. Again, he spoke about the last 20 to 25 meters, and he bigged up Jordan Pickford. Of course, we have to manage the frustration. I do agree with him in that if Ethan came on and scored, everybody would be waxing lyrical. At the end of the day, we called for Ethan to be utilized, and he's being utilized now, people, if I'm honest. We've got 3 Premier League games without an open play goal. In the Premier League, yeah, but we scored 3 from open play 3 days ago. It won't continue. We will score goals. We have the chances like we have done today. I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will score goals. We'll go on a run. I'm sure we will, really and truly. But again, in terms of fine margins and winning the Premier League title, these are questions that we need answered going into the season. And we've still got the same old questions from last year. And arguably, there's more questions than answers. I'm not trying to be harsh on the club. If we want to do this being part of the race and getting Champions League football and giving a decent account of ourselves in the cup, but not necessarily winning it, we've got enough. If we want to get over the line, boy, Mikel Arteta, a manager's career is longer than a footballer's, but it is short. Footballers, whether you make it, whether you stay at Arsenal for your whole career or not, at some point you're going to blink and be 35 and think about, what you've achieved in your career. And you lot are missing their opportunities. Last 2 years, especially last season, we missed a golden opportunity. You've got Liverpool coming back now. Whether, I don't care how much Maresca and Chelsea fans play down the fact of a title race. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but at the end of the day, results dictate the narrative. They're winning games. They're firmly in it every week. And obviously after them losing the Manchester derby, it looks darker and darker for Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, and a struggle to pull themselves out of that hole. But and I must admit, this gets weaker every week, but it's still Manchester City in that regard. We did score 3 goals against Monaco, and Monaco did set up to kind of narrow the space, but they did not do what Everton or Fulham did. So it appeared, again, as I said at the start, my frustration is more beyond the Everton game, beyond the obvious, is that the same old kryptonite is still there for Arsenal. 3 goals from open play is unacceptable. Big up Lewis Skelly. He gave him a chance. He took it. And again, there's many talking points. In a positive way, Lewis Skelly's performance is not one of those people. Again, Mikel Arteta said, I feel very disappointed not to win the game because obviously there was one team which deserves to win, which is Arsenal. Oh, sorry, we've gone over that, people. We've gone over the generated chances, people. Sean Dye said it's step in the right direction. We lack a killer number 9, but at the same time, we can ask questions of Kai Havertz, which is true. And a striker does get us out of jail in games like that, potentially turn some losses into draws, some draws into 3 points. But we're not exactly, well, Everton, to be fair, there was a couple of clear-cut chances. But if we sign these Isaacs and these Yokerezes and stuff, I genuinely believe with what we're doing at the moment, it's not necessarily guaranteed we'll start scoring a lot more goals, really, because we're not really creating that much. Everton, fair play, we did kind of, but generally, and big up Pickford, man of the match display. Him and Raya, sorry, have the same amount of clean sheets going into the game and after it with 6, and 300 Premier League appearances is a fantastic achievement for the goalie. So yeah, man of the match display, in my opinion. It wouldn't be Arsenal transfer news without being linked with Vlahovic. Allegedly, Arsenal are preparing a January move for Vlahovic, according to a report. I'm quite bored of the Daily Dusan rhetoric because we might be interested, but we need a striker. He's in contract stuff with Juventus, and Arsenal fans probably are, thinking about the last time we was linked with him. Are these reasons for us to continuously be linked with him? I don't know if Arsenal are going to go and sign him. There has been some rumours by the journalists that unless it's a fantastic kind of opportunity on the market or there's a madness where injuries are concerned, we're not going to be doing such, people. So it's speculation. I don't really think it is something, but allegedly Arsenal are to make an offer. Mikel Arteta remains a big fan of his. You would have seen Juventus's latest draw. He was getting into a bit of handbags with his teammates, so maybe there is cracks, people. Allegedly it could take 70 million euros to sign him in January. PSG, Chelsea, Manchester City, and allegedly Manchester United, as well as Barcelona, are all keeping tabs on the Serbian hitman. Lookman's still been linked with Arsenal, and his Nigeria captain William Tross Ikon has confirmed that big clubs have been keen on Ademola Lookman. Had a great game against Real Madrid, having a fantastic spell in Italy at Atalanta. Victor Reyes, people, Arsenal and Chelsea allegedly are among the clubs to have inquired about him in recent days. We all know at just 18 years of age, the defender is seen as one of the jewels of the next generation of Brazil, people, and he's doing his thing at Palmeiras. Now, there is some rumours they don't want to let him go until after the Club World Cup, so make of that what you will. They have sold Estalvio to Palmeiras, Luis Guilherme to West Ham, Hendricks obviously gone to Real Madrid, and once upon a time, Gabriel Jesus went from Palmeiras to Manchester City and is currently stinking up the cap for Arsenal, essentially. Apparently, we've inquired about him. He's got a release clause of 100 million. There's been some rumors he can go for 29 all the way to 40 million. So yeah, defender, if you don't know what he is, people. I think I skipped ahead. Apparently, Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City have told Barcelona they're prepared to sign Raphinha if the Brazil star is placed on the transfer list. I mean, Barcelona do crazy things. You wouldn't have imagined Gundogan would leave, but Raphinha seems like there's a new lease of life. Another one that's been linked with us going back to his Leeds days. And, they'll probably sell Frankie de Jong or Rojo or assess some other options before they get rid. Apparently, pardon me, they'll consider offers of around the 100 million euros mark, according to TBR Football, which obviously Arsenal, Manchester City and Liverpool have made their interest known. Liverpool need a longer term replacement for Salah. Arsenal obviously need more attacking additions, and he's shown he can play centrally. Manchester City, I mean, he would slot in perfectly on the right or the left because none of their wingers are doing what needs to be done. Raphinha's become a key player and got a new lease of life under Hansi Flick, so can't really see that happening, but it is what it is. Ryan Cherky has refused to rule out a move away from Lyon following links to the Premier League. The 21-year-old people has 22 goals and provided 31 assists and 137 appearances. Apparently, Lyon will want to keep hold of him, but there's an added complication that the club are facing a serious financial difficulty, people. They're fifth in Ligue 1. There's a serious chance they could be relegated at the end of the season if they do not get their books balanced. Arsenal, Liverpool, West Ham, Newcastle, Chelsea and Crystal Palace have all been linked with the 21-year-old who's been on the scene for a while, was talked of a star as 15, 16 years of age. I think if he really wants it, I think someone needs to have a conversation with him and tell him ability and talent gets you in the room, which has got you in. Your consistency, your tenacity, your stamina and motivation, your want to get better, your mentality, these things take you to the top. I genuinely think he has the potential to have a very good career and actually be capped by France and all of that kind of stuff. I think he's not even scratched the surface of his ability. And I think if he truly wants it, he could be one of the best players in the world. I'd love him at Arsenal, especially if it's not going to cost that much as well. There's been rumours going as high as 20 million euros and as low as 8.5 people. So make of that what you will. Apparently, Arsenal are reportedly ready to submit a bid for Brighton and Hove Albion forward Joao Pedro, who's equally been aggressively linked in the last few days with Liverpool. Apparently, Arsenal and Liverpool are ready to lodge offers of 55 to 65 million euros. Draw whatever conclusions you want in that regard. Doesn't appear that there's anything here. Why have I got so much tabs? Apparently, Real Madrid have joined the race to sign Marcus Thuram, who has also been linked with Arsenal, Manchester United, Barcelona, and Liverpool. I don't buy Arsenal's interest in the 27-year-old, but that's what the reports are saying, people. We've gone over that already. Again, we're apparently in contact over a move for Barcelona captain Raphinha. Don't think that makes sense there, people. Arsenal must sell Tomiyasu in January. I don't think it makes sense to sell him in January despite being rarely available. But in the summer, decisions have to be made over Kivior because I think we need a defender. But, you know, just in terms of the left-back options, over Kivior, over Tomiyasu, and Zinchenko's got 2 years left on his deal. I would fight tooth and nail to not sell Tomiyasu. Obviously, the only issues are injuries and your lack of availability, but these things are issues. And Lewis Skelly seems to be announcing himself at the senior stage. Played against Liverpool, Manchester City. Obviously, has got 2 starts in a week now in the Champions League and obviously the Prem, doing his thing. So yeah, there's probably going to be a bit of chopping and changing in that regard. Apparently Newcastle have joined the race to sign Mohamed Kudus, people. Aren't they struggling with PSR? Surely they need to sell he's injured at the moment, but the Callum Wilsons, the Trippiers, the Amrons, maybe potentially a Gomares, or is that before they look to sign someone of Mohamed Kudus's stature? Apparently he's got an 85 million release clause, people, and West Ham stand to make a little profit on the 39 million they signed him for in August of 2023. And stuff like this, like Arsenal being linked with him, as I just said there, you got 80 to 85 million price tags on his head now. Again, I don't know all the isms and schisms that goes on at the club, but surely 39 million from Ajax, who we seem to have a good relation with, and we seem to want to sign their players. We did not sign Lisandro Martinez. We did not sign Hato. We did sign Timber. It would have made sense to sign him then for everything that he offers people. This actually says West Ham want 90 million for Kudus, who has an 85 million release clause. So we'll have to see. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Arsenal are going to test the waters in January, but we have hope, man. Weird things have happened in life, people. Alex Buena is still linked with Aston Villa and Arsenal Football Club. Apparently, he could prefer Arsenal over Aston Villa, the Villarreal man, people. He said, Villarreal is the club of my life, and if one day that offer comes, we'll sit down and talk and see what's best for both of us. So he's not played up a move, but not played down it. So we'll have to see. And he's also indirectly been linked with Real Madrid. We've gone over why Odegaard allegedly was hooked, people, which means nothing to me because ultimately we didn't win the game. What is this? Arsenal have held talks with a prolific striker, so this is probably about Vlahovic. Yes, it is. We've held talks apparently with his agents ahead of January. Gabriel Jesus for 265 grand a week. Is to say he's not doing the business is probably, you know, not playing it down enough, people. Thomas Tuchel has said he'll send a message to Ben White over an England return, which for me would be good for Ben. And again, it's similar to Vlahovic fashion. It wouldn't be Arsenal transfer rumours if Kivior approaching a window wasn't linked with a move away. He's still being linked with Napoli. For me, I don't think it makes sense to let players leave in January of this, you know, whether it's Kivior, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, whatever have you, people. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.